Yo, yo, yo. Shalom, shalom. Y'all let me know. Can y'all hear me on this? Not sure. Sound is coming out. Okay, yeah. First off, man, I want to say call hello, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakah, Kodash. I want to send double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to all of you out there pushing this word in spirit and truth, man. Repenting, changing your lives, and confessing the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai out in the world, man. This is Ariala. I want to come with another path to the M.O.T.B update / this might even turn into a World War III update, a World War III algo update. I'm not sure, but definitely I want to cover the situation with the protest that's going up in Canada right now with the truckers protesting. There are certain situations that, I was talking about with my wife. I was talking about with one of my bros, and a lot of information that came out that is interesting, and so I just want to kind of cover these concepts and ideas because this is something that we've been showing you how the corporations and the governments are merging together to regulate your lives. And so the data needed by these corporations are basically the government is buying that data and utilizing that data to control how you spend, how you move, everything like that. With the situation with these truckers, they're disrupting the whole logistics market. And there's a lot of brothers that are truck drivers, and that do drive trucks. If we do have some brothers that do drive trucks on the stream, and if you have points, please just put it into the comment board. But they're the logistics model for how we get our goods and services is like the bedrock and foundation of keeping everything calm. People being able to go to the store regularly in the Western world and get what they need is critical. And so we always talk about when you mess with the ability of a man getting his sandwich, then he'll be ready to fight. And so they have put mandates in Canada on these truckers, and these truckers are resisting. They're resisting the mandates. And so the response that the government and these corporations are coming with that is extremely interesting, and it shows you how they're flowing into this M.O.T.B systems. Okay, so now, of course, we open up with Revelation, the 13th chapter. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15, it says, "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause it that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed." Interestingly enough, last night on the Remnant Save, not this page, but the regular Remnant Save page, where Elder Yashawamba posts pretty much all of his content, we went live, of course, and we had our street speaking. One part of that sermon last night, we really went in on the idea of what the image of the beast is, and how it's involved this whole modern Roman spirit of how to rule, and we're seeing that the image of the beast is speaking very well now. Now it's going to lead to verse 16, which is basically a way for them to track and mark you to say, hey, this person is compliant to our way. And that compliance is a form of or defined in a way of like a form of fascism, in which we'll get to. Verse 16 says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." And we talk about how they do want to brand you or chip you, or put an all in you, the charagma, for you to be able to be put into this new digital system. And in order for them to accomplish this goal, there's going to have to be a merger between buying and selling, this corporate economic structure of capitalistic America and the regulatory system of government have to come together. And they're going to make that order out of continual, perpetual chaos. If you can stay with me. And so I just want to look at this whole trucker situation and just show how they utilize these instances to create control and to lead down this path of the M.O.T.B. Okay, so I'm gonna play this real quick. Let's get this. You know, I like to use clips and examples.
What is fascism? It's all about uniting for a common cause, a collective struggle. In order for the country to succeed in that struggle, it needs everyone to get involved. That means individuals may have to accept tough times in the name of the country. It also means that everyone must obey the state.
Everybody must obey the state. And so what we're seeing right now with this virus going around is regulatory controls that's controlling everybody and telling everybody what to do. Systems of regulation.
There's no space for dissent or challenge. To inspire people to sign up to this vision and struggle, there's often a very charismatic leader that people believe in. They may well refer to a glorious past, whether it's real, exaggerated, or even mythical. A common enemy is also often used to create a sense of unity. This can be in the form of race or religion.
So now it's the anti-jabbers versus the jabbers. It's becoming the anti-jabbers have become the common enemy. And what they're going to do with these Canadians, truck drivers, is like, look how they're disrupting your daily life. Look how much they're affecting the people with their protests. No one's the price of food and being able to do this is, and they're even talking about maybe even shutting down the Super Bowl, like lanes to the Super Bowl and stuff like that. They're going to utilize that to say, okay, this is a problem. We need a system where everybody can come together so we can just get back to normal. Why are you guys just stopping us from just getting back to normal? This is just science. It's health. So you got guys like the president of Canada. I guess he's called the president. I don't even know. I don't know. And he's like, you know, basically this charismatic fellow. All right.
Religion or anything else. There may also be a rejection of the recent past, an attempt to start again in the model of the vision for the party. Fascism believes that humans are not rational beings. We're subject to various drives and natural responses. So, a system of government based on rational ideas can't lead to success.
See that? So now this is what we're starting to see is this form of corporate fascism take over the what we see as living life. All right. So now these Canadian drivers, this is what I thought was most interesting. These Canadian drivers, they're protesting, they're stopping their trucks on this bridge, right? And that's very good. The kingdom is within. I was going to pull that Daniel 8:25. The people of Canada supporting them and other people supporting them made a GoFundMe for them so that they could, you know, continue their protests because they agreed. GoFundMe takes the money away, telling them they can't do that. GoFundMe, which is a private corporation that has nothing to do with the government, that's just providing a service for people, takes the money away, showing you how these corporate entities are being started or in the government are coming together to stop people's freedoms, so to speak. So I'm gonna play this. Let's see if it'll play.
There's breaking news tonight that the so-called Freedom Convoy in Canada protesting vaccine mandates could be expanding to the United States, starting in Los Angeles on the Super Bowl and gathering steam across the country, ending in Washington for the State of the Union address. We have team coverage of that protest tonight, starting with CBS's Chris Van Cleve outside Detroit.
Nora, Canada is the U.S.'s largest trading partner, and 25% of that trade comes across this one bridge. With it blocked, that is starting to have a real impact on American businesses. Tonight, the nation's busiest border crossing for commerce remains closed going into Canada for the third day. Canadians protesting vaccine mandates have blocked access.
We're not asking you to stop what you're doing. Just stop forcing it on us.
The Ambassador Bridge linking Detroit and Windsor, Canada, is critical to the auto industry. Nearly 8,000 trucks carry more than $323 million in goods across it daily.
I think it's important for everyone in Canada and the United States to understand what the impact of this blockage is, potential impact on workers, on the supply chain.
The blockade is already forcing temporary production disruptions at some plants for Detroit's big three automakers, primarily in Canada.
Trade is absolutely critical to the automotive industry and the broader Canadian economy. So any disruption to trade, and in particular to trade at the Ambassador Bridge, which is Canada's most important border crossing, has a significant impact on the industry and the economy.
CBS's Janice Shamlian is in the Canadian capital of Ottawa, where the protests began.
This is day 13 of what's been called the occupation of Canada's capital near its parliament buildings. Beyond the big rigs that are parked 3 and 4 abreast, there are hundreds of people here who have come in support of the protesters. They are providing things like food and fuel, and generally, they are opposed to all COVID restrictions.
The city of Ottawa has been dropping donations off here, food, paper towels, toothpaste, anything we ask for, okay? It doesn't matter, they bring it.
The so-called Freedom Caravan protest is causing huge traffic jams at this border crossing in Port Huron, 2 hours from Detroit. Big rig traffic is being redirected here, but the bridge can't handle as much traffic as the Ambassador Bridge, causing long waits to enter Canada. And that DHS bulletin warns the potential protest caravan could block roads in metropolitan areas across the country as it travels from LA to Washington, D.C., picking up more protesters.
So more and more of the people are protesting what's coming down the pipe. And as it creates a strain in society, now, just like the brother had posted, Daniel 8:25, and through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand, meaning that peace that he shall destroy many. He's going to say, oh, we're not able to get our products, the price of food, this is bad, boom, boom, when basically the truckers are really just fighting for basic human rights. When you just kind of take a step back and look at it, okay? It says 4 states are investigating GoFundMe after the fundraiser service banned donations to an organization of truckers protesting vax restrictions in Canada. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said on Wednesday that his office will investigate GoFundMe for blocking and withholding donations already made to the platform through its website. Removing the campaign from its site shall violate the state's Deceptive Trade Practices Act, he said. GoFundMe's response to an anti-mandate pro-liberty movement should ring alarm bells to anyone using the donation platform and, more broadly, any American wanting to protect their constitutional rights. Attorney General Paxton said in a statement, many Texans donated to this worthy cause. I am acting to protect Texas consumers so that they know where hard-earned money is going, rather than allowing GoFundMe to divert money to another cause without the consent of Texas citizens. So we're having all of these battles and fights, but we see how these corporations are participating in basically fascism, straight up just fascism, okay?
It is theft on the part of GoFundMe. Let me say the Canadian truckers are heroes. They are patriots, and they are marching for your freedom and for my freedom. They are those truck drivers that, God bless them, they're defending Canada, but they're defending America as well. That is courage on display, that the government doesn't have the right to force you to comply to their arbitrary mandates. And they're standing up for freedom. And of course, big government hates it and is trying to crush them. Of course, the corporate media hates it and is trying to silence them. And big tech, you look at what GoFundMe did. People gave $10 million to support the Freedom Convoy because they were so proud of the courage of these truck drivers. And the thieves in Silicon Valley decided, we don't like your politics. So A, we're going to take your money. And then B, we're going to give it to people we like. Listen, if anyone else did that, that is called theft. And so today, I sent a letter to the Federal Trade Commission asking that the FTC open an investigation into GoFundMe into whether they've committed deceptive trade practices, because when people gave money, they gave money under the promise it would go to the Freedom Convoy.
And this is why people are moving to Florida, Texas. You know, you got the last little bastions of somewhat your little American freedom. This is gonna be the last bastion of freedom, you know, because it's getting worse and worse and worse with these crackdowns. And we was reading this last night. We were reading out of the book of Revelation, the 12th chapter. He's coming. He knows he has but a short time. So Esau's moving forward with this global reset agenda and controlling logistics, because to fix this situation, the government most likely is going to say we need regulation in logistics. We're going to have to make independent contracting with truckers like this and this and this, because we need to be able to get people food. We need to be able to get people their goods and products that they need, and we need to make sure that this can never happen again. You know, and that's what they'll do. Brother posted Isaiah 10:1, the kingdom is within. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. You know, that's just a part of it. And this is not something new, man. These type of orders been going around. You know, we hear in First Maccabees, the first chapter, in the 41st verse, it says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and that everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. All right, and so they want to create a finalized digital new world order system in government that they can oversee, that they can track, they can monitor your goings in and your goings out. That's why we see ATMs are being removed from places. Cash is being taken out of circulation. They're making it to where we only accept card. So we only accept card. You know, and that's and it's getting more and more and more in that way, because cash is privacy, and they don't want you to have any privacy. They don't want you to have any privacy. So it's just getting worse and worse and worse as they continue to swallow down and suck in all the nations, right? Habakkuk 2:5, it says, yea, also because he transgressed by wine, his philosophies, his ways of being. That's the wine. He is a proud man, all right? And this is Esau that's ruling, all right? He's a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Okay? And so this is why more and more people are starting to buck up. More and more people are starting to buck up to this thing. One of the brothers had put in, I believe, Matthew 25. Yeah, present your body as a living sacrifice. But Matthew 12:25. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And so as we see more and more of these tumults, and more confusion, this place is gonna continue to splinter apart. All right, piece by piece by piece.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. When Democratic politicians across this country all of a sudden started to pull back their mask mandates, they did it virtually overnight, and of course they did it in unison, we naturally assumed that new polling had to be behind it. Someone at the DNC must have seen terrifying public opinion numbers and decided to abandon Project Quarantine before the midterm elections. That made sense to us. We explained that theory in the show last night. We still think it's probably pretty true. But it's also clear as of tonight that there is another explanation for this. Democrats in this country are looking north to their friends in the ruling party of Canada, and what they see there scares them. Canada's working class has finally rebelled after years of relentless abuse. Truck drivers are threatening to topple Justin Trudeau's creepy little government with their big rigs, and they may succeed, actually. The protests against Justin Trudeau's vaccine mandates have been far more effective than anyone in charge imagined. For Democrats in the United States, that's a pretty obvious lesson. Over the past 48 hours, Canadian truckers have blocked the major trade routes between their country and ours. Last night, farmers driving heavy agricultural equipment shut down the highways at the Manitoba border with the United States. You're seeing footage now from the town of Emerson, Manitoba. 1,100 miles away, a similar scene on the border of Ontario in the United States. Green tractors with Canadian flags lining the highway in protest. But the most meaningful blockade of all is taking place right now on the Ambassador Bridge. That's the privately owned span that connects Detroit to Windsor, Ontario. If you live in the upper Midwest, you know it well. A quarter of all the trade between the United States and Canada, one another's biggest trading partners, that's billions of dollars, comes across that bridge. And as Fox's Molly Line is reporting from Ottawa, that bridge is now completely shut down.
We're Canadian, and we want to be free Canadians.
Increasing concern spreading through Canada and now the U.S. as the Freedom Convoy threatens trade along the border. Truckers blocking...
Telling you, trade is always at the epicenter of impending war and tumults. When you go back and you study the history of kingdoms and empires, you see commerce and trade always at the epicenter of how decisions are made, why people are upset, how kings are usurped. That's why it's always been very intriguing to me to follow these things, because they go hand in hand with how kingdoms operate. Goods and services, resources is what develops a kingdom. You need goods. You need people to be able to move those goods. You need slaves. You need employees. It's always better to have happy employees. You know, this is why when we read about the kingdom, we read about this functioning, high level, operating government. But within that government is the heathen nations subserviently, being the employees within that kingdom. And in this kingdom, what we're seeing is that the people are disgruntled, they're moaning, they're mad, they're rioting, they're in distress. All right. They're blocking the roads. You can't move anywhere. People are frustrated. I mean, I'm reading about some of the things that's going on within the educational system. They got governments grants that's paying for companies to help you help track your kids through QR codes, and what probably will end up being NFT type things where everybody has their own digital ID. Brother Mike Olive was talking about that last night, but that goes along with some things that I had been reading as well. But the teachers' pay has gone up 1%. So teachers are just quitting their jobs. They're fed up that you can't even get any substitutes in here. Okay. The truckers, they're having to be coded. They got to have QR codes to show how long they've been on the road. They're being tracked. You can't independently have your own trucking business without having so much money. You got to upgrade your truck so that it's more, so it's trackable. So that's expensive. So really, the only people that can, have a trucking business are the huge corporations, because the update needed for the trucks, you can't afford it. If you only got 3 or 4 trucks and it's cost you an extra $200,000 to upgrade your truck, put you out of business. So everything is being consolidated. And as things are being consolidated into this high-end corporate government rulership, people are upset, man. They're mad. Okay? 2nd Ezra chapter 15. And we're going to keep reading these scriptures, man, because it's happening. These scriptures are jumping off the page. 2nd Ezra 15, chapter 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. This is where we see an example of people not regarding the kings or princes. They don't care what the judge has to say. They don't care what Trudeau has to say. They don't care what the government has to say. We are protesting. We're blocking this bridge. It's to the point now where you had a convoy of people helping these truckers, so they were bringing the truckers gasoline. Well, the authorities are now going and taking the people's gasoline so they can't give it to the truckers. People bringing food and everything like that, they're going and taking it. Do you see what happened with GoFundMe? They're trying to stop these truckers from protesting and making a political statement, you know. But the people don't care. They like, we don't want this stuff. We don't want to be controlled. So people are fighting sedition. It says, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Now, what happens when they're trying to get these guys off these bridges forcefully? You know? Verse 17 says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. It's blocked off. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. We're going to start to see this ramp up more and more and more and more. Okay? I don't know what that means, Zach. Pusha, I don't know what you're talking about. What is that? Let's see. There's a spirit brother put 2 Ezra 15. It's jumping off the page. You got to post that scripture, right? You got to post that scripture. Let me play a little bit more of this. Let's see, where was I at? Oh, yeah, I'm going to go back to that in a second.
Traffic at the Ambassador Bridge connecting Detroit and Ontario. A second crossing linking Alberta and Montana also shut down by protesters, calling for an end to all COVID restrictions and vaccine mandates.
We want freedom of all mandates, and that's what we're fighting for.
The Ambassador Bridge is the busiest international crossing in North America, carrying 25% of all trade between Canada and the U.S.
We want freedom, the truckers are saying, freedom from mandates. It's a very straightforward ask, but so far the truckers don't have that freedom, and so their blockade continues. So far, that blockade has forced the Ford Motor Company to shut down one of its manufacturing plants and to operate another plant with a skeleton crew. Toyota says it won't be able to manufacture vehicles in Ontario for the rest of the week. General Motors has canceled multiple shifts at its plant in Lansing, Michigan, due to part shortages. So this protest is less than a week old, and already it is causing deep pain to at least one global industry. It's hard to overstate the historical significance of what we're watching right here. The Canadian trucker convoy is the single most successful human rights protest in a generation. If nothing else, it has been a very useful reminder to our entitled ruling class that working class men can be pushed, but only so far. When they push back, it hurts. It turns out that truck drivers are more important to a country's future than, say, diversity consultants or even MSNBC contributors. Who knew?
Yeah, bro. The distribution, logistics, you being able to get your food, get your goods on time. People don't realize how decadent and how convenient life has been created. But you have to understand that with these protests, the government and the powers that be know that this is in the people's psychology to do these things. They already have a plan, regulation for these type of situations set. This is not catching the elite off guard. Just like we talked about Charles Schwab, he said we have to prepare for a more angry world. I don't even know how to spell that. How you spell Schwab? Somebody will figure it out. Pull up. YouTube algorithm, fix it. There you go, champ.
November, and then we
who listens to it?
And particularly also people in the gray economy.
Let's see if he'll play it.
I don't know how it will play out in November, but what we know is that we will end up with many more unemployed, and particularly also people in the gray economy, which are not counted for, who lose their jobs. So we will see definitively a lot of anger already now, but probably increased by the end of the year, because this crisis will be with us until we really have found a remedy. So we have to prepare for a more angry world. And how to prepare? It means to take the necessary action to create a fairer world, to see that we provide everybody with decent access to the health system, that we make sure that those people who are really left behind, and I'm not speaking only on national levels, I'm speaking also internationally. If I see now the tragedy in some of the emerging countries like South Africa, like some countries in East Asia, I think it's all, I don't have too many remedies. The remedies have to be discussed through dialogue by the stakeholders of our global system. But
the stakeholders of our global system, basically the people who own everything, you know, and you best to believe they're creating a multinational, international world of regulation and control where there's this perceived idea of peace and fairness and equity, and everybody now is happy. Okay, they understand what the people are doing for sure. So it's going to continue, man. It's going to continue. All right, so let me see. Start this one.
Starting a new fundraiser after GoFundMe officially cut off funds for Canada's Freedom Convoy. Kelly O'Grady joins us. What do we know about a U.S. trucker convoy?
Well, Stuart,
Can y'all
they're
hear
calling
this?
themselves the People's Convoy, and honestly, I think that name says it all. This really goes beyond just truckers. They're aiming to represent all Americans impacted by the mandates. Now, we recently highlighted how Facebook shut down their organizing group last week, and the GoFundMe move against the Canadian convoy is just the latest example of how anti-mandate protesters are drawing censorship from American corporations. Now, I want to highlight this is drawing a lot of backlash on Twitter and from lawmakers. Governor Ron DeSantis and Florida's Attorney General have vowed to investigate the company for fraud. Further, critics are highlighting how GoFundMe is citing instances of violence in Canada when it encouraged and allowed donations to the CHOP movement in Seattle, the site of numerous assaults, looting, and even death. Now, disregarding these headwinds, the People's Convoy is not using GoFundMe, but they're moving forward with plans to start in California and converge on Washington, D.C. While this cross-border mandate affects a small portion of truckers, broader restrictions have impacted workers across the supply chain, manufacturers, port workers, and these dynamics have impacted turnaround time on a workforce already short 80,000 drivers and driven prices up for Americans across the board. And those Americans are the individuals the People's Convoy is representing, right? The healthcare workers impacted by these mandates, the discharged military personnel, and the parents who just can't send their kids to school.
And so this convoy is for everyone. It can't be expressed enough that this is in no way is this a right-wing issue or a left-wing issue. This is not anti-vax. This is about your rights as a human being, and then, of course, as an American, your constitutional rights.
Now, Brian told me the plan is peaceful, but they do plan to remain in Washington until the federal and state mandates.
So if they decide to move forward with this, if they disrupt this Super Bowl that's supposed to be this weekend, this is going to be national, international news. It would create chaos at the supermarkets and you buying and getting your goods online and your access to them. It's already strained. The prices for getting goods, because it's going to be more expensive for companies to even get stuff done. The prices for things is going to go up. So this is going to get all types of attention. I mean, you best to believe the government and these corporations are going to come together and say, hey, you know, because of these problems, we need to keep everybody safe and healthy. Boom, 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 boom. This is what we're going to mandate. And anybody outside of this could be seen as a terrorist. I believe it says I have a community post really pertinent to this convoy. If you get a chance to read it, I don't know where. Read it how. You know, we'll see. But you best believe the propaganda that's going to be going out on these Super Bowl commercials is going to be crazy. It's going to be all over the place, man. In the midst of this, you have a potential war in the Ukraine being stirred up. We understand that all of these systems that we're seeing with these protesters, logistics, it's all leading into the path of the M.O.T.B. How are we going to be able to regulate and get things back to normal? Meanwhile, you got geopolitical chaos happening with potential war with Russia. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. And, you know, we know that there's a lot more prophecies that have to go down. You know, and so And so it's crazy, bro. I'm gonna see if I can check your page real quick. Let me see if I can check your page. Hold on just 1 second. Let me look. See. Why is it not letting me go to your page? For some reason it's not letting me click on your page, bro. Satan saying nah. Well, no, it's not letting me click, bro. So, oh well. If I see it and there's something significant, and I can come back, I can just do another lesson on it. It's all good. It's all good, bro. But yeah, man. So all of these things are going down, and it's doing nothing but allowing them to have their order ab KO moment. Or order ab KO moment is really what they want, bro. And so they're doing it more and more and more. Proverbs chapter 30, verse 13. It says, "This is a generation, oh, how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. There's a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among men." Okay. And so continually, they're just coming together with more and more plans of control, all right, domination. They want to recreate their own blessing. Okay, they wanted to. They think that they they are God, man. And so this is some things that we were going into last night on the sermon. If y'all bros have time, and if you haven't checked it out, Remnant Saved, the street speaking last night, we went more into the prophetic side of things. But I wanted to highlight this because we mentioned it and really kind of go into it, because as a researcher, I was like, wow, look how GoFundMe is linking with the government to basically control people, you know? So I was going to go in on, got the Olympic Games going on in Beijing. Yeah, they was announcing a digital yuan at the Olympic Games with China, you know? So there's a lot of these things going on that basically lead down this path. We're starting to see it, man. We're starting to see this thing really come full circle, you know? Oh, right there, figured out. Watch this. Look at this. See what this says.
With the opening ceremony of the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics completed and all competing athletes currently in China, 2 members of Congress are warning of the potential dangers of using digital yuan at the events. According to a Friday report from Reuters, Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey sent a letter to Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on Thursday expressing concern that the Chinese government could use the games to promote greater adoption of its central bank digital currency. The country has been conducting trials of the CBDC since April 2020, later announcing foreign athletes and visitors would have the opportunity to use it during their time at the Olympic Games. Toomey claimed that the digital yuan rollout among an international crowd could help to set a standard in cross-border payments, potentially threatening U.S. interests. The Federal Reserve has floated the idea. Well, we've got just 5 days to go until the opening ceremony kicks off the Beijing Olympics. The Winter Games were set to be the first real test for the Chinese central bank's digital yuan, but those ambitions have been scaled back dramatically, in part because of limited attendance. No spectators will be allowed into events out of fears of COVID outbreaks. Let's bring in Daryl Duffy, Stanford Graduate School.
So you got all of these things happening, bro. All these things happening to centralize control, to track you, to keep you within their data digital brain. You best believe that China Moab, who China's Moab in the Bible, okay, and Esau, the so-called white man, the Western, European Edomite, and even Amalek that's down there in the state of Israel. Those are all Edomites. So Esau and Moab have always been trade partners. They've always worked together to control economies in the region. And they're in the spirit, they're doing it now. They're doing it now. And these are things that are mentioned in the scriptures when you go to Jeremiah, the 48th chapter, the 50th chapter, the 49th chapter. I mean, these are things that are all in the scriptures. This Moab being in desolation along with Esau. Okay. All these things are getting ready to pop off, man. I'll play one more clip. And, bros that got coinciding scriptures just post.
Some up-to-date intel that I've received. I've been getting these messages left and right since I've been making these videos where I've been sharing the intel I've been receiving from various military personnel and people in the know from around the world. I just get sent more and more of these messages, so I'm going to share them with you today so you can get a heads up and a head start about what is coming. Now, we've been warning people about this for the last couple months, and all of a sudden today, the stock market's seeing red. All the financial channels are freaking out. They're selling all their stocks. It's going to get wild. It's going to get crazy. This could be the black swan event that tanks the stock market. So I want people to be ready. Now, that said, it could crash the market, but the market could bounce back if the market realizes that this is going to be a proxy engagement. Because I think right now people are seeing World War III. I got to be straight up honest with you guys. That's what the market is seeing right now. So expect that oil prices are going to go up. Hopefully people in Europe, if I have people in Europe who watch this, I hope your pantries are stocked to the rafters. I hope you got those gas tanks and jerry cans filled up, because things could get pretty serious in the not so distant future. Now, we had that press conference today where the U.S. officials were basically saying that, they think that Putin is going to attack and blah, blah, blah. And who really knows what that means? If you've been watching my most recent videos lately, you know that this situation is a lot more complicated than Putin just wants to attack the Ukraine, okay? It's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot of other things which could potentially trigger this whole thing to go off, and it doesn't necessarily just involve sole Russian aggression for the sake of it because they want to expand the Russian Empire. It's a lot more complicated. So go and watch my previous videos on it. But I want to share a couple emails that I've received with you guys so you can know what is coming. So I'm not going to reveal any identifiers for this person. So let's just get to it. So I am a longtime subscriber to your channel. Keep my name private for all intents and purposes. But I want to inform you of some news that came from a friend of mine who is in the United States military. So this is kind of a friend news, but we'll take it with a grain of salt. My friend is being prepared to be deployed to Eastern Europe. For this email, we will call my friend Bob. Bob is saying that a large amount of troops could be deployed in the near future, much higher figures than being discussed right now. Bob said that the military is actively transporting a large amount of supplies, weapons, and other wartime essentials to Europe. And of course, this would be consistent with a video I did yesterday where I shared that information that was provided to me by the pilot who's working for the private firm who was basically shuttling armaments or whatever other precious unknown cargo he was shuttling over there. This was the only information that could be shared, as the rest of what Bob had to say was classified. So I'm not sure how up in the chain of command Bob is,
but we'll have to assume he knows something. The U.S. military is preparing for a war with Russia and its allies. Feel free to share this message, but keep my name private. Everything that came from Bob can be shared. Okay, take that one for what it's worth. I've heard a lot of reports of military equipment being moved throughout the U.S. on trains, although...
And then Lively Locksmith, I pulled up your that BitChute channel that you had sent in your community. I'm not gonna play it because I probably need to filter it before I will play it. I don't know if I don't want to get this page hit with a strike. You know, you can get me in trouble with Elder Yashawamba, man. So I will have to watch it and see what's up. And then if I feel like it's info to put it up here on YouTube, then I'll come back and do a follow-up.
That is something which happens quite frequently. Now, I want to read another email that I received. This one is related to cyber attack, and this is one that we really need to pay attention to because I think this one.
But basically, man, all of these things are just ramping up more and more and more. Now, whether this stuff is going to happen in the near future, we don't know how things are going to play out, particularly, but we know that the prophecies say that these are the beginning of sorrows, okay? Wars, rumors of wars, tumults of the people, okay? Famines, pestilences, all right? With these supply chain shutdowns, the strain on people, strain of the nations. That's what's happening, man. That's what's happening. Okay, some good scriptures posted real quick, and then we'll close out right there at 11:44. Look at the brother. He posted, the kingdom is within, Revelation 11:14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Yeah, just like was mentioned, Joe Biden, there's a clip of Joe Biden saying, hey, this could potentially lead to a world war with Russia. Zephaniah 1:11, how ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. Okay. And we're starting to see that with the hyperinflated systems. Okay, everything's more expensive. Everything's been cut off. Right now, the markets are all over the place. They're ridiculously volatile. There is no confidence in the market. People are not sure what's going to happen. All right, Ezekiel 7:6, an end is come. The end is come. It watcheth for thee. Behold, it is come. Very good. Let's see. That's right. Azan Amath, the truth put, central bankers and the European commissions are funding all this war costs, order out of chaos. That's right. They believe that they're going to bring in their new world order out of chaos, but it's going to flip on them. And I talked about that in the last live stream, how the actual order that's going to come out of this chaos is the government of Yasharallah. Okay, is actually the order that Yahweh Shem Yahushua wants, is what's going to be created. That order is going to be established as the premier order on earth out of this chaos, because really the Most High is putting in the minds of the elite to move forward. Because we're out here literally telling this man what he's going to do. We're out here prophesying, saying he's going to do this. And the spirit is being compelled upon him to forward his enterprise, man, into his own destruction. It's a snare. Okay, so I wanted to highlight the whole Canadian thing as something that we're looking out for, just because we know that out of that dysfunction of regulatory system of how to move goods and services here and across countries and everything like that is being prepared. So anyway, man, I'm gonna leave it at that right there and close it out. Maybe come back and do some more stuff on the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. But hey, man, appreciate y'all tuning in with me. I'll be back a little willing later on today. Call hello, Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah Ba'Hashem Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to y'all. Came out there pushing the words sincerely and truth. Shalom.